Hi, how are you?
Teresa, hi. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to talk to you today. Where are you? Are you in Hicksville or are you elsewhere?
No, I'm out on the road. I am in Florida right now.
Oh, lucky you.
So I will be in Florida until I head to New Philadelphia. So
good for you. Hey,
yeah.
Before we get started, I had to tell you, I was doing some research on you before this interview, and I looked you up, and we have a birthday apart. So I was like, of course I love her. We're Gemini twins. Your birthday's...
Oh, God, that's so funny.
I know, your birthday's June 10th, and mine is the 11th. So I was like, of course. Makes sense. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started if you're okay with that. I'll try to make it quick. When did you first realize that you had this incredible gift?
So I didn't realize that what I had was a gift. I always grew up sensing and feeling things that other people didn't. I do believe and know that we all have the ability to connect with our own departed loved ones.
Yeah.
So this is my main thing with the work that I do, is that I want people to believe in themselves, to know that there is an afterlife, the things that they sense and feel that remind them of their departed loved one, to know that it is them, that they're not crazy.
Yeah.
And more importantly, because I would say this has nothing to do with me. So the souls of the departed just use my physical body to validate that they are still with us, just in a different way.
What is that process like? How do you know when it's happening? And I watched a couple episodes yesterday of your newest show, and it looks like sometimes you'll be like at a restaurant and it'll just come to you. What's that process like?
Yeah, so usually I always sense and feel things. Like the night at my live show, what will happen is I give a speech. So as I'm giving my speech, that's my sign to spirit that I'm ready to work. And what they do is they start to clear out my own personal thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and they start replacing them with signs and symbols of things that I've experienced here in the physical world to be able to relay messages to someone. I will feel, say, like a father soul with me, and they might then show me. Then the soul will bring me through the departure. They will physically make me feel what they felt as their soul left the physical body. Then they will show me the sign or the symbol of the burden or guilt or any negative emotion that the person is holding on to that is not giving them the ability to heal. And that's why I do the work that I do, is because I didn't realize that when someone loses a loved one, that they can carry, say, a burden, a should've, a could've, a would've, maybe an only if.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we carry these negative emotions that do not give us the ability to heal. So when I found out that I had this ability not only to connect with my own departed loved ones, but everyone else's, I put my gift in God's hands, and I said, if this is my soul's journey, then open the doors for me, and I will walk through them with my gift, but only to help people. I want to be able to help people to heal from the loss of their loved one, so they can live their life, with as much happiness and joy. Because yes, life is not going to be the same. And maybe it'll make it a little bit easier for someone to live their life.
Is that exhausting for you because they're coming through you, and I'm thinking about like the emotional toll or even the physical toll? Like, does that do anything to you?
Yeah. Listen, I always say this, I make what I do look very easy, but it's the hardest thing that I have to do, is to channel someone's loved one, to take on those emotions. I say sometimes it does affect me, where I have a hard time shaking, the night or the readings, but it's almost like I was built this way. It's almost like fast as the information comes is as fast as it leaves me. I try not to hold on to it.
When a spirit is coming to you, what does that feel like? Do you feel like a physical reaction to it?
Yeah, I'll just feel like a presence.
Okay.
I can't explain it. It's just like a knowing. Like, I'll just feel a presence. And then if the soul wants to communicate, they'll make me feel the way that they'll physically bring me through the departure. So like sometimes you might see me like struggling to take a deep breath, trying to clear my throat. They're just things that I feel to spirit, that they make me feel that, so we don't remember them suffering or that they're not okay. They want you to know that they left all of that with the physical body. They didn't take it with them on the other side. Then they'll just show me whatever the person is struggling with to help them move forward here in the physical world. more of just like a feeling and a knowing. I don't even know how to explain it. I tell people, like, I wish I could tell you, like, this really cool thing that happens.
Yeah.
Now, like, all of a sudden, it's rainbows and Skittles and fairy dust. Right. You know?
Exactly. Now, what if somebody's, like, closest family member was like an animal? Like, I'm an animal lover. I've got dogs and cats. Yeah. Does that ever happen to you?
Yes, pets have come through many a times during a live show or even someone's private reading. The one time that I remember is when I channeled they had a pet squirrel. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, did you have a ferret? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, who's Stevie? And they're like, oh my God, Stevie was our pet squirrel. And they literally had the squirrel cremated and like had it out on the fireplace on the mantle. I mean, you can't even make this up.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but what you have to realize is that a soul is a soul and a bond is a bond.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, their pets are like their children. I remember reading a woman one time. I said, did you lose your daughter? And she said, no. And I'm like, well, your daughter is telling me that you have her handprint and that you wear a bracelet in memory of her and you have a piece of her hair. And she said, oh my God. She goes, that's my cat. She said, I have on my bracelet, she says, I have her paw print and a piece of her hair in this. She had like a little box charm. But to her cat was like her daughter. So that's why I felt like that daughter connection.
Yeah. Wow. This is going to be probably a random and weird question, but have you ever been called to like solve a murder or anything, or like to give clues to maybe like something that have happened?
No, I have not.
That's interesting.
I have not. Look, I don't know if someone has come to a show and they received information, like their loved one, but I've never been called. And honestly, how do I say this? Listen, it's not about right or wrong. Souls make me feel things. There are, unfortunately, a lot of people that are murdered, or there's questions to their departure, and the Spirit has to handle these things with dignity and grace. Right. I always say this is not about, solving crimes. There are mediums and psychics that absolutely do that. Mm-hmm. I use my gift strictly for healing.
That's awesome. And I think that's what you'll see the most needed is people that need to be healed, for sure.
I'm afraid of the dark, so I don't like scary things.
Hey, me too. I still have a nightlight.
Me too.
And I'm in my 30s, so it's fine. Whatever. I don't care.
I'm 56, so I got you beat on that.
That's okay. What do you say to somebody who is afraid of death?
Listen, I'm not afraid to die.
Yeah.
I don't want to die. I think it's a natural feeling, a natural emotion to be afraid because what? Because it's the unknown, right? Mm-hmm. We don't know what that's going to be. I don't want to die, but I know I'm not afraid to die. Right. Because I know that we are greeted by our loved ones that have gone on before us and that we will see them again. Because souls have shown me, and everything that I talk about is only through my own experience with channeling spirit.
Right.
Spirit has shown me that like someone will say, tell my daughter that daddy came for me, that I wasn't alone when I died, or her brother, and the person will say to me, oh my God, before my mom died, she was motioning to the corner and calling out my dad's name, or spoke about their siblings that had died years before them. So I say to people, I know that something happens when we die. We go to another place. Mm-hmm. I refer to it as heaven. I'll find out when I get there. And then some people will say, well, how could there be that? What if there's nothing? And I say to them, you know what? If there's nothing, then you're not going to know about it then.
Right.
You're not going to know about it because if there's nothing, then you're not going to know about it. So wouldn't you rather believe in something, kind of lessen that anxiety because you can't control it?
For sure. Can you turn it off? If you're like in the mall, can you just like walk through the mall without feeling anything? Or do you just tell them like, no, like right now I want to be present with my family? Does that happen?
I always feel things. It's just whether a spirit pushes me enough to say something. Wow. Some people, don't want to hear from their loved ones, or maybe they don't need to hear from their departed loved ones, or maybe they're just not ready to hear from them. So I know when it's appropriate and not appropriate to say something. And it's almost like Spirit knows that too. They understand the downtime and they respect that. I just don't walk around all day long hearing things. I might just feel something knowing like, okay, this is weird. That's not really how I feel, but it's a feeling.
Yeah.
And that might just be it. So I just know that it's something, and we all have our loved ones with us. So of course we're always going to sense things and feel things.
Yeah, I kind of binge watched your show Raising Spirits last night. They had a marathon of like 10 episodes, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to sit down and I'm just going to watch it. And the one, oh gosh, it's so good. The episode where you were reading the woman who had lost her husband, and the vent that flew off. Holy cow!
Yeah, these are the moments where, and that footage that they showed, that was the security camera in the wine cellar. It wasn't even our cameras.
Right.
That was the security footage from the restaurant, because we were in $1 million wine cellar, and they're like, we can't shut off our security cameras, and we're like, okay. So it was so bizarre, and it's just like so. Like last night at my live show, I was channeling this woman's son, and I said, your son's telling me he plays with the lights at the house. And she's like, oh my God, all the time. All of a sudden, I've been touring for over 11 years. I have these drapes that have they're fiber optic drapes, and there's angel wings on them, and then there's all lighting on the front of the stage. All of the lights went out. All of the lights went out on the stage, on the drapes, and I said to myself, this is what people are going to think, that my crew is doing this, because it's so crazy. It's like the stuff that happens is so insane. Like, I get why people think, oh, this is staged, because it's so unbelievable. Right. And literally, my lighting director was like, we don't know what happened. And they just went on by themselves. It had to be about at least a minute later. Now, that's a long time, a minute.
That's crazy.
And, those are the things where you sit back and you're like, we don't know what happened. There's no explanation. Nobody knew at the theater why that would happen or how that would happen. There was no explanation. I know it was her son.
Oh, yeah, of course. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of your touring, you're going to be at a live venue here in New Philly next week, and we're so excited to have you. Your first show sold out so quick that we added another date, which is so wild.
Yes. How crazy is that?
I know. Now, when you're there at the venue, how will the spirits be able to come to you, because there's going to be so many folks in the theater? How does that work?
Yeah, so what's going to happen is I'm going to come out on stage. I'm going to give a little quick speech, which is my sign to Spirit that I'm ready to work. As soon as I start to sense and feel the souls of the departed, I allow the souls to guide me around the space. You'll see I will just randomly look at someone and start channeling their loved ones. And then I move around the theater. I don't stay on the stage. We have cameras that follow me around and a big screen set up. So no matter where you're seated, you will be able to witness these messages being delivered up close and personal. This is a statement that people make after attending one of my live shows, just shows on how powerful the experience truly is. They will say, I had absolutely no idea what to expect when I walked into that theater. I personally did not get read, but what I witnessed was life-changing. And then they go on to say, and then I realized that there were so many other people that truly needed to hear from their loved ones that night than I did.
Oh, wow. I got tickets for both nights, so I can't wait.
Oh, my God. That's amazing.
I know. Just because I'm such a fan.
I think there's a VIP, so I'd love to have you as a guest.
Oh,
so
thank you.
I'd love to meet you in person.
That would be great.
Next week.
Yeah, next week. Hey, real quick, tell your dad that he's got fans here in New Philadelphia. Your dad is so stinking cute. Oh my gosh.
Know, isn't he? He's the best.
The way that he just I was watching one episode and you're like, Dad, you're popular. And his phone's just like going off the hook. And he's like, I'm not popular.
Oh, yeah, he's like, I'm not popular. Meanwhile, we're sitting there, and his phone is just dinging with text messages and phone calls, and he goes, I'm not popular. I go, Dad, your phone, I think one of my cameramen even said, Nick, your phone hasn't stopped since we walked in. He's like, oh, I guess I'm popular.
It's just so cute.
I'm like, oh, my God, you can't even make this up.
No, you've got a great relationship with your family. Your granddaughter's adorable. You've got 2 great kids. Theresa, thank you so much for calling. I'm looking forward to next week, and have fun in Florida and safe travels until you get up here.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you. So God bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye.